What's going on, fam bam? We are finally live, and it seems that this drama is never ending when it comes to the RTX 50 series. I don't know if you guys heard, but there's a pretty funny story that's coming up. But welcome, everybody. I'm glad to see you, Alex. I'm glad to see you, Sanchez. And I have to mention about this 50 series. Remember how there was that situation with the RTX 5090 at the micro centers and people were pulling out book bags with the Zotac RTX 5090s thinking that's what they were going to receive? And this time, it seems that someone has purchased a RTX 5090. Instead, they pulled out a old video card, and on top of it, it was with a bag of rice, and also it was a bag of something else, but it was just like full of carbs in there, and that's all that was stacked in there. So it seems that somebody keeps swapping out these cards and fooling these retailers so that way they can get the RTX 5090 for practically free this time. But yeah, it's pretty insane how they're going through this, and no store has been really vetting through it. But hopefully you guys caught the whole Summerfest. I gotta say, it was quite an amazing show. I don't really impress easy when it comes to any of these showcasings, especially when it comes to, like, say, even Nintendo's Direct, or you see the State of Play, or any of these other game shows where they have these big game reveals. I gotta say, Summer Play was actually pretty impressive for the most part for all the games that are coming out. Hopefully you guys are excited for it. What's up, Delovan? I don't want to say your name wrong, but good to see you, Delovan. Glad that you came in. But they've announced Atomic Heart 2. They've announced Resident Evil 9. Everybody's been waiting for that. That was quite the surprise, how that they said that they weren't going to release the trailer because it needed a little bit more time to cook. But then all of a sudden, they decided to drop it right at the end when you least expect it. That was a really cool pull, a really good pull from Summerfest for the most part. And they have Atomic Heart 2. They had Liza P was shadow dropped. They have a new sequel for that. What else did they have? Yakuza, their old story where it's like back in the 50s. That looks pretty dope. But there's so many great games that seem that are actually going to come out. I didn't think this year would be that stacked, but now it seems like there are actually a lot of games to look forward to. I know later today, if you guys are interested, I do finally have my Bakelite PC pretty much all set up, and we could either choose each or PC to go Expedition 33. We do have the AMD build with a full Bakelite system. Pretty much had set up everything for it. It took a little bit because it's just like Linux. Linux takes a little bit longer to set up compared to something like Windows, but at least everything is ready to go for it. So if you guys want to check that out later today, which will be streamed later, and once I do, I'll let you guys know in the Discord channel. Yeah, finally. It's nice to actually see some action, I gotta say. And it was rumored for a long time. Everybody knows that there was going to be a Resident Evil 9 coming out, but instead it's just like for them to just drop like a full trailer reveal was actually nice. And at least it felt like even when they didn't drop it, at least we had confirmation that it did exist. And I'm just glad overall that it is coming out. Also, with the RTX 5090, I will be coming out with a video tomorrow, a long format video. And I finally did do some digging into it to see if that was part of the issues or not. I did a little bit of research because of, well, really more, not really research, but more diagnosing of what was going on with that particular PC. Actually, it's the PC right behind me with the RTX 5090. After everything was taken apart, it seemed that for the most part, I can say the good news is it doesn't seem to be more 5090 related. It seems to be another issue, which I will explain in the video tomorrow. As it seemed a little bit nerve-wracking, as you know, with Gigabyte's AORUS AORUS cards or Gigabyte in general when it comes to their RTX 5090. I'm sure everybody has already, or if not already, heard about this whole thermal gel leaking with their card, and it seems that this was not the case whatsoever. So I did end up investigating it, and it seemed that it was okay for the most part. But also, it seems that Basslight actually runs really well so far. I will also do a review a little bit later on that because I want to really go deeper into the system. And before anybody decides to go full Basslight OS, if you decide to do that with your gaming PC build, I mean, it is an excellent system to go on. You don't have any unnecessary applications running in the background that you don't want. You don't have Windows updates that's constantly forcing you to update because of security updates that could possibly break your PC, meaning not really break it literally, but break it to where you're unable to play certain games because Windows has been known to do that as well. But it is a great program overall, a great OS, and I will go in a little bit more in depth with that. Same thing with the ASUS ROG Ally. Now, there are some things I will mention about it shortly, but let me share with you guys. I saw it on Reddit multiple times. The paste leaks a lot. Yeah, it's you'll notice it if it really leaks. You'll see it usually go into the PCI Express bus. If it is leaking, it will be very noticeable for the most part. Now, I can say if you do look at your GPU and you do get a Gigabyte card or whichever other manufacturer, if you see any type of thermal paste on there or any type of thermal gel, usually that's going to be normal if you see it inside the card. You might see like a little bit of like squeezes or whatever, but that's typically normal of a card. But if you'll see like a big puddle of it practically coming out, of course that's not normal. Then that's something that I would highly recommend to contact Gigabyte, or if you did just get the card, hopefully you could exchange it for another card if you want to go that route. But has anybody in here really ran into that issue with their card where they actually had the thermal gel leaking? Does anybody in here have one of these Gigabyte cards, regardless if it's an RTX 5090, it could be the RTX 5080, maybe even the 5070 Ti might have had it. If you did, please let me know. I'm really curious about your case and your situation with this whole matter. But for the most part, at least with this particular card, it didn't seem like it was a real big issue. And I can say what's also exciting now in the PC world is that I'm sure you guys heard of the RX 9060 and the 9060 Ti that has been released. More than likely, that is going to be the GPU that I will be I will pick up, and I'll make sure to stream it live when I do. It might be next weekend, but it all depends on how the funds will actually work. If I do got the funds, then I'll go ahead and make sure to live stream it to everybody. We'll go to Micro Center. We actually got the board already set, which is the board right behind me, which is the Gigabyte Master AORUS Z890 we will use. We are going to pick up a processor, which more than likely will be the 265K, and then we'll see if we could get the RAM, the SSD, all that. That should be coming in sometime soon. And I just got to get a case. We'll pick out a cooler together at Micro Center. We could all vote on it. Power supply, we could all vote on that too. And the GPU, which it seems that everyone came to a consensus and all voted for the 9060 or the 9060 Ti. Now, there is going to be another vote that I gotta say for everybody out there who wants to vote for this, which I will run it over the course of the week, which is if you want it to be a RGB build or if you want it to be a completely stealth build for this particular PC. And my advice for this particular PC is with RGBs, since this motherboard does have them already. I think a stealth build would be better if we have a motherboard that doesn't have any RGBs at all. But Alex is saying that I saw it on Reddit multiple times. where the thermal paste leaks a lot. My RX 58, not 5080, my RX 580 has thick thermal pads and they don't leak. Yeah, thermal pads, they don't typically leak because, again, it's not a liquid that they use. Typically on these Gigabyte ones, they use the thermal gels. I think also mounting your GPU vertically can make it worse due to gravity. I agree. I feel the same way, Alex. If anybody does plan to mount their GPU vertically and you have a Gigabyte board, not Gigabyte board, but a Gigabyte GPU, I would use caution. Just make sure to double check it before you do install it. Check between the PCB and check between the fans, so that way you have a good indication if there is a bit of too much paste. And you'll notice it's not going to look normal. It'll almost look like an ice cream sandwich of a GPU. And I'm pretty sure anyone could really pick it out. Because it's going to look like an ice cream sandwich if you see it. If you see something like that, if you notice a little too much paste more than normal, then I would suggest doing switching that one out or sending it to Gigabyte, depending on how you received your product. But for the most part, I gotta say, Gigabyte's GPU has been pretty well, and I'm excited to show all the other features that it does have. I do feel like the RTX 5090 is still significantly priced high, as I'm sure you guys checked out the used GPU market as it is for anybody that is shopping for GPUs. If you're trying to get like an RTX 4090, RTX 4080, all these GPUs that you typically could get for a lot cheaper, especially when a new generation comes out, like the 50 series, unfortunately held its value because of how NVIDIA pushed up the pricing. Unfortunately, I don't see that that's going to change anytime, like a large change at least. It's going to hold its value due to the pricing, and I don't think NVIDIA is going to drop the pricing a lot further. I doubt they would drop it down, like say like 25% down even. You might see little increments of drops, like maybe the most you might see it drop down to is maybe $300 if we're really lucky, but no more than that. And it seems that a typical RTX 4090, if you do try to purchase it now, used is going to be ranged around $1,300 to $1,400 for a fairly priced one, compared to one where I'm sure you've seen people put up posts where they priced out their RTX 4090 for a ridiculous amount, like $2,100. So RX 7900 XTX versus 9070 XT. That's a great comparison, but I do have to say, if you are going to compare those two, of course, the 7900 XTX has more VRAM, and that is something you can certainly take advantage of, but the 9070 XT is also quite impressive. And in my honest opinion, if you were to choose, I would just go 9070 XT, unless, this is the only unless part here, unless you are looking to do any type of deep learning with your GPU. If you're trying to run like a local LLM like Llama, then I would say get the 7900 XTX. If you're not, if you're just using it strictly for gaming, then I would say get the 9070 XT. But that's a great question, A1 Threat. Alexander said, I'd like to see the $600 budget all black. Okay, I will take that to consideration. We will think up a plan for an all black stealth build, and I've talked this up quite a bit, and I know everybody who's been in my chat, whether they've been here for a long time, knows that we've been talking about Project Ninja, and Project Ninja is going to be a all black build. And maybe we can do something like that, maybe a $600 budget. We could definitely vote on it and see what everybody would like and would want to see in the build in particular. So yeah, we could definitely put that into consideration, Alex. That sounds good. And with this Gigabyte build, more than likely, I think it's mapped out pretty much how we want it so far. I don't know if anybody wants to see any particular power supply for it. So far, we could do 265K. Now the power supply, we'll figure that out. The cooler, we'll figure it out. We're going to get probably 32 gigabytes of 6,000 megahertz, which is one that is getting sent in, and an NVMe we're also going to get. It's just going to be standard PCI Express 4. I explained to everybody out there, you don't really need PCI Express 5 because especially if you're going to use it for something like gaming, you're not really going to use those speeds unless you're a creative or you are heavy into file transfers where you use a lot of data. Then it would make sense to use something like PCI Express 5 because it will save you a substantial amount of time if you're transferring between drives. Now, if you're just using it for gaming, you're not going to notice the difference between even, say, PCI Express 3. So I can say that for the most part. Oh, and another thing too for this upcoming build is a case that we got to decide. And remember, Alex actually brought up some cases we could take a look into there, or we could choose to pick it out at Micro Center. And that's something we could certainly discuss once we're ready to move forward to the next step. But I am excited for this build. I'm curious what this Intel build will personally push out. And the funny thing is the whole 265K, if it's still on sale, they also offer Dying Light. And there's one other game that, Civilization 7 is the other game that they do feature if you decide to get it. Plus you get you either have a choice of getting sets of RAM or SSD of your choice. And they are priced a little bit differently. If you choose to go to get it with RAM, it's going to be like an extra $20 compared to $270, I think it is, if you choose to get the SSD with it. And I'm curious to see how close it would be to competing, especially a RX 9060 XT. Say if we choose that, competing up against the RX 9070 XT. And we can see if we could get our hands on something like a 5060 to really compare all of them together. And the price difference is quite a bit, especially if you compare it to a 5060 Ti to, say, a 9060 XT. But, of course, if anybody has any questions out there about their builds or anything, you are more than welcome to ask. And also, you feel free to ask on Discord if you don't want to mention it in the chat, which is understandable. I get it. If you don't want to publicly announce anything, we could certainly talk in Discord about that as well. If you are interested in any type of pre-builds, I do have a website too where you can purchase PCs where it's personally made on the channel, and it's also only shipped within the US and within North American areas such as Canada, as far as Canada, because in discussions right now trying to figure out how to get a PC safely if it's shipped internationally, because the last thing you want to run into is a PC with damage. But there are several options I'm thinking of, and also probably a guide, maybe even like doing like some sort of build kit even. But that's something to be figured out for sure. And if you have any questions or upgrades or issues, feel free to ask and I'm willing to help you out. Or if you're just if you're switching from console to PC, let me know as well, as the transition isn't really that bad. Once you go into PC, it's kind of hard to go back to something like console, especially because everything is so universal now. There's not really any exclusives as there used to be. So that's a really good thing. Now, like whether if you want to play, say, PlayStation exclusives, they also come to PC. The only games you can't really play on PC, unless you, of course, do things which Nintendo does not like, and which they watch every single video, I'm sure, and try to sort through that. But technically, you can't play Nintendo games on PC. But anyway, moving on. I will show you what exactly happened with this debacle when it came to this guy in their RTX 5090. It's actually on WCCF, I think it is, which I want to show you guys here. Let me see. Oh, Zen 6. That's something I'm excited about too. Apparently there's indications that Zen 6 could be coming out sometime soon, but not this year. More than likely, we'll see it next year, and that will be the final generation that will be on the AM5 side at least. So let me see. I really want to show you guys this. Oh, it's funny because it was actually Gigabyte Worst Master. It was the Ice Edition, and this is what it came out to be, which is right here. You see that? So he actually got some rice and pasta that came into the PC, which is with this GPU, which is pretty insane. And there was a video card that was buried under it. Let's see if they show the video card. No, they don't show it, but just imagine that. And this happened in the Netherlands, which is pretty insane. So people out there, just make sure to check your GPU right away, or you could even check it in the car before you drive off if you don't end up getting it delivered and you are able to pick it up at a physical store. Check it out right away. It seems that cases like this are becoming more of an occurrence, unfortunately, for those who are trying to get a brand new GPU, which is it's sad, but it's funny at the same time. But hopefully that's something that can be well sorted. So with the whole thing, I wanted to say too, Zen 6 is also supposed to make some sort of showing within the next year. There's indications of it where it they have certain SKUs that came out where it seems that the next processors are going to be like, say, like the it would be the 10, I think they called it the 10 something, but it's the 10,000 series though, that they are moving on from the, say, 9950X. It's probably going to be like the 1050 maybe, or maybe they continue with the, it's going kind of confusing from once it goes past this whole 99 part. But anyway, they are going to come out with their last architecture for it, which would be a Zen 6 for AM5. And then from there, they are going to move on to a brand new architecture, which would happen in 2027. So there is plenty of life for anybody that is still wanting to build on AM5 and people who are thinking of building, especially if you're thinking of even going AM4, then that's a good indication for you guys to know that if you do decide to go AM4, then you're almost going to be 2 generations behind if that's the case. So I always highly suggest going to AM5 at the minimum, especially because it has become a lot more affordable to do AM5 compared to what it used to be. Now you can get DDR5 for pretty cheap, around like $100 typically. Any type of component really you can get for a good deal. The most expensive part obviously is going to be the GPU, and most people that are gaming on PC are not going to really need something like as much as, say, like a 5090 or anything that's like a really high-end GPU is really unnecessary, especially if you're playing on a display that's something like 1080p or even 1440, where you're not going to really take advantage of the card. It's always going to hit a significant limit for that, unless you're more into something like LLMs, or if you're into some sort of production type of work, such as making videos and coding, unless you're looking on that side of it. And let me bring up the chat. I just realized it went missing there. So, I do gotta say for that side that we are going to completely finish this whole backlight side. I'm excited to show a lot of different features that it does have, which you can take advantage of. If you have a NVIDIA card, it's also compatible with NVIDIA cards as well if you choose to go as backlight OS, or if you go even Steam OS. Now, it can be a little bit picky. Originally, I tried to install Steam OS, if you haven't seen the video, onto this particular PC. Unfortunately, the kernels weren't quite up to date. Hopefully, it's up to date now, because the good thing about Linux is that they constantly update their framework. So if they update the kernels, then more than likely it will be compatible then. But I haven't really had a chance to take a look at it, which I will do sometime this weekend too. So everybody out there, I gotta know what type of games are you playing out there now? Because right now, currently, I'm playing a lot of more Expedition 33 than anything. It runs, I gotta say, it runs really well, by the way, on the ASUS ROG Ally. It runs amazingly well. You could get some decent frames, like even up to 50, which is pretty impressive, especially if you're going somewhere far and you have a game like Expedition 33. It would be great to have. Only thing I would have to say is just remember to have a porta bank with you, because as you know, the battery life, it will drain out pretty quickly depending on what your TDP is set at for your ASUS ROG Ally. So, also, I gotta say, so we have the Intel build, Project Ninja, which we will look forward in sometime soon, and also I will be taking a trip sometime soon as well, which will be over to Taiwan. And once I'm over in Taiwan, I will show you all the different areas of all the really dope areas that they have, especially when it comes to PC building. They have so many stores for it, and they have their brand for each store. And they have their own ASUS store, they have their own Razer store. So anything you can think of, they have right then and there. So it's that's something I really want to share with you guys once I'm over there. But that won't be till for a few weeks from now. And then once I head over there, I will let you guys know. And let me know if you guys want to see anything in particular as well, which I am excited to share with you guys. So, I do have to say, later today, we will do some Expedition 33. I will also throw in Doom if you guys would like. We could play either on the RTX 5090, which is on the Windows OS, and we can also go into the 9070 XT, which is on Bazzite, which we could either play Doom or we could play Expedition 33. If there's any particular request from anybody out there, please let me know that you would like to see the system run on. And if I have the game in the library, I will check it out. If I don't, let me know so I can kind of prepare for it, because then I have to be able to get the game as well. There's also something, you know what I was told to. Now, one of the games I haven't played myself, but I've heard great things about it, and everybody's telling me to get this game. And I got to know from everybody out there, especially how you think of this game, which is Elden Ring. And I keep getting told to play Elden Ring, and some people say that once you get it, you're just going to spend so many hours on that game, it's going to be ridiculous. Has anybody out there played Elden Ring? And let me know what you think of it, because I'm really curious about it. So Do Everything Well says 7900 XTX for 4K 9070 XT 1440p. Okay. Yeah, well, if you're trying to do, yeah, you could always do that. So it seems that he has made a response for A1 threat, but that is also a good point too. If you're going to plan to try to play 4K, that's also a great point that he brought up, is 7900 XT would be definitely better for that than a 9070 XT. But I can't really say for certain myself, because I want to run the test, but I'm currently waiting on a 4K display specifically. And when I do, I'm going to run it on both the 9070 XT. I know the 5090 shouldn't really have any issues when it comes to that, but once I do get it, I will let you guys know. Just the thing is, this display has no release date yet, and I'm working on trying to get my hands on it. So if anybody has any favorite 4K displays, let me know. There's not really a lot of 4K displays where it's 4K OLED with that is actually glossy. I think the only other one that actually is maybe LG, but it might be Semi, where it's part matte and part glossy, which is something that I know everybody does prefer, depending on how you have your your rig set up, depending if you have a window right there where it could get pretty annoying where the sun could reflect off the monitor. If it does, then glossy is not going to be a great case. Although, what really interests... Oh, thanks for the follow, EF5 guy. But I do have to say too, this new ASUS monitor, I think it's the UG32. UG or U... It's U something, U32 something. But anyway, this new monitor that they're coming out with is supposed to absorb a lot of that light, and it won't reflect as bad as most glossy monitors do, which I have very high interest in and currently trying to get my hands on. And I do want to try to get a review unit in, so that way we can really test it out and see if it's worth the money to really buy this 4K monitor here. But if I went with a new AMD GPU, I'd definitely get the 7900 XTX, but I wanted it a bit cheaper. I considered 9070 XT, and that was the whole disparity, I had to say too, like depending on the gaming side. And that's why I suggested the 9070 XT, depending on what you do. I also suggested the 7900 XTX if you are interested in doing any type of LLM, any local LLMs, or if you want to do any type of production work, that also helps to have the extra VRAM. That's what you really want out of that GPU mostly. 4K is also another reason, because you're going to use more VRAM for that case. It's the only time I don't suggest it is if you are running on a 1080p display, unless it's a super high refresh rate monitor like 600 hertz or something like that. Then you would still need something pretty substantial to go through that. But if it's just a standard 1080p, say 144 hertz, then I know for certain that the 9070 XT will have no problem hitting that. It runs great at 1440, I can say, on an ultrawide monitor at 100 hertz. So I will run, again, more tests once I get a 4K unit in, and we will see how well it does then. And we can test it between both systems. Right now, again, it's on Bazzite, so it's going to run a little bit differently. The shaders and the textures and everything run a little bit differently because it's not really on like frame generation. Certain games can do it, some can't, but that's a whole nother issue I will get into once I do a whole review on the Bazzite OS on a full AMD build. So I do have to say, okay, for a minute I thought I got something new in there. But if anybody out there has any questions at all, feel free to ask. Or if you want to see anything in particular, let me know. And we could definitely work on trying to pull it into this channel, as we want to, because I want to really help out anybody out there who is thinking of doing any type of PC build, just like how Do Everything Well is very enthusiastic about it as well, it seems. As I'm curious, so what is everybody's specs that they currently have in this chat? Because I know it's definitely stretched a bit, especially with how everything is going this year. I haven't seen like a ton of people like trying to purchase PC parts, because I know it could be economically straining and the parts just don't really exist as much. But now it seems that everything has improved significantly since then, especially with the GPUs. Now you could actually get your hands on one, which when we go to a Micro Center, we can definitely check it out, and we'll see all the GPUs back in stock. So I won't probably ever get a high-end NVIDIA card. Pretty stupid of NVIDIA to try to shove 600 watts through 12 pins and expect them to melt. And you know, it's funny, Gigabyte had something to say about that too, Gigabyte's engineers, and which I will explain in a moment. What's up, Gabriel? How can I fix error code 10 on Ethernet? So you have an error code 10. Is it not connecting at all? Is it showing I'm assuming you're on Windows, right? On Windows 11? So it might be, I would update the driver first. More than likely, it's probably going to be driver related if you're getting some sort of error. because usually that's going to be pretty simple fix. Just more than likely you probably have either a Realtek driver or it's going to be Intel. Intel's big on to Ethernet ports. But what you would do is you would go into your, let me see if I could do it on here. Maybe you can see it. But you're just going to go into right-click Windows, and when you do, go to your device manager. Once you go to your device manager, go over to networking, which would be, let me see how they word it here. Networking, yep, network adapters, and look up your network connection. You're going to right-click it. It's not showing Ethernet option at all. I did that in the BIOS update. Oh, really? So it's completely missing. Really? But so how are you? Sorry, but how are you seeing the code 10 if it's not showing at all? Are you getting? Oh, sorry about that. Let me see. I don't know how I did that. Let me get back in here. I somehow accidentally closed out of that. There we go. Let me reopen that back up. Hopefully everything's still connected. There we go. The good thing is I got this backup chat so I can still see it. All right, there. Now we should be good. Okay. So, yeah, that I will comment shortly about what NVIDIA did with the whole 12-volt high power port. And with dude, funny how 3090 Ti never had it. Yeah, that's true. 3090 Ti never did have those issues. Okay, so you did the BIOS update and it's still... Has it ever showed, Gabriel? Has your Ethernet ever showed at all? Has it... How... First, I also got to mention what are your specifications and how long ago did you do this build? Is it recent or has it been... Or is it a new build? More importantly. I personally run a i5 11400 F, 32 gigabytes of RAM, 4 terabytes of storage in total, 850 watts, Corsair 4000D. I like the 4000D cases too, and a older Z590 motherboard. Oh wow! So, are you thinking of doing an upgrade sometime soon? But I bet it still runs really well. It still could run modern games with no issue if that's what you use it for. Do you use it for gaming or do you use it for more of you're trying to get into the whole AI, like deep learning and everything? Just built my first computer coming from an older Alienware. I gotta say, with it, even though when you come from something like Alienware, there's nothing like your own build, right? Once it just feels so like a big accomplishment when you do something like that, because the best part is everything's customizable. You know your PC from in and out. If there's some sort of issue, you'll be able to replace the part or even upgrade whichever easily, because now you have a full ATX build. So Gabe, have you tried reinstalling Windows or a different Ethernet cable? I have a 4060 Ti card as well. My bad. Oh, that's pretty good. Dude, it's... Yeah, absolutely. It is one of the most rewarding feelings. That's why I suggest, like, if anybody has never built a PC, really don't be scared. Vivid will tell you it's not hard to build a PC. It's actually a lot of fun. It might take you a little bit of time when you first build a PC. It might take you maybe like a full day or a day and a half even to do a PC build. But when you get it done and you see that PC boot up, you're going to feel like I actually built this thing. So I highly recommend anybody out there who is thinking of it, just do it. Just figure out the specifications. And if you need help with specifications, feel free to ask any questions, especially if you're trying to run a play against certain games. I always highly recommend checking the specifications of the games that you're into and what you will play most, so that way you have a good indication of what to build. Because from there, I always recommend going to the highest recommended ones, because that will give you a good indication of where to start. Not hard at all. It was really easy to figure out. And ironically, I played a bunch of PC building. Oh, really? That's funny. You know, I've always seen that in the store and in the Steam store, and I was always curious about that whole PC building simulator. It has to be pretty fun. I've and it's always like a suggested game to play. I think it's probably not that much either. It's probably like $10 or something. I bet. So yeah, it runs 1080p amazingly, but I stay in 1440p since my card can handle it. Oh, nice. Are you running on a? I'm assuming you're running on a 2560. Is it 2560 by 1440, or you're running ultra wides, 3440 by 1440. You know, I've been waiting for this whole like 5K, 2K resolution thing to happen, and it's never happened in ultra wides for some reason. Not yet, at least. By now, you would think they would have that, and not do everything well. Says 100. I 100% don't regret learning how to build PCs. I'm working on planning my first water-cooled system. I built 4 PCs so far, and I gotta say, hands up to you, thumbs up. I'm sure you've helped a few friends with those builds, and I'm sure that they've been quite appreciative with your insight. But yes, sometimes it's not cheap, but then again, it's worth the investment because of what a PC can do for you. Yeah, running 2560 with okay. Yeah, that's a very good monitor to game on. It's still nice and crisp. You know what's funny? The thing is, you won't really notice the difference if you go from, like if you're going from 2560 to by 1440 over to something like 4K. But if you go from 4K and you go back, then you'll notice the slight difference. You'll notice the blurriness, which is something to always get used to. It's the same thing with OLED. If you ever play on an OLED display, you could see the difference. In fact, the screens up here, I don't know if you guys can see the difference from the camera itself, but the left screen's OLED, and the right screen here is just a typical LCD display, which is IPS. And but the OLED has the better color, better blacks, obviously, compared to something like this where it does have like its color leakage, so to say. But if anybody's thinking of ever going to OLED, definitely take the jump. It's amazing. Once you go OLED, it's really hard to go back. And for some reason, I've always had this deep love for ultra wides just because of how much screen you really get out of it. But now I'm starting to think of switching up a ultra wide, and on the other screen I'm thinking of swapping that out to something that's 4K instead. At least I'll have the variety depending on what type of game is being played through it. I'm blind, so I can barely notice 1080p versus 1440p. Almost blindish. I get it. It's funny too because it's like sometimes I'll get this almost like a black spot in my eye. Like I'm sure you guys all get it, which are like the floaties, especially when you stare at screens for especially long hours in the day. You get these floaters, and it looks like something's like a fly's like flying by you, but it's not. It's just floaters in your eyes. So I get the idea how it can feel. It can be pretty irritating, but I wish there was a real easy way to do it. I've looked up different methods. Some, I guess, people say, oh, you could take these like different type of pills to kind of help get rid of eye floaters, or you can. But the most drastic thing to do is actually get the surgery for it to remove these floaters. But it's not recommended, as you don't really notice it unless you're like in a really bright space, like a really bright light. But yeah, it can suck at times for sure. But I gotta say, I'm excited for everybody out there who is going to. I'm gonna head out now. Get. Oh, thanks a lot. I appreciate it. Do everything well. I do appreciate it. I hope to see you soon. I usually stream Wednesdays and Saturdays. I will stream later today if you want to see some Expedition 33. Just let me know your vote if you get the chance, if you are here or not. But I do appreciate you coming into the chat. Also, if anybody has any questions, hopefully Where was he? Who was it that asked? Was it... where was it? I'm looking for the Ethernet question here. Gabriel, are you... I did a reset. Okay, here it is. I did a reset 2 months ago. I haven't been able to use the Ethernet from... Oh, wow. That long. It's been that long that you haven't been able to use Ethernet on your... I'm assuming it's on your motherboard. So what are your specifications? Oh, so I see it now. My fault. 6 years ago, B550M, 3060, 12 gigabyte, 32 gigabytes, R7. Okay. So more than likely, there could be two scenarios that could be happening. It could be, check, are you getting any power supply issues? Meaning that, does your PC act a little bit funky if you're doing some sort of task, like maybe it's moving slower than usual, or if you're gaming, it's a possibility for it to close out, or because sometimes it could be something like that, could even be power supply related. I've seen that before, and sometimes something simple as that can actually fix the issue. Maybe you're not getting the power that you're supposed to into your motherboard, but the easiest way to check that is use hardware monitor, and you'll get a good indication. Usually I like to use HWinfo64, and then from there you can take a look at the power source. But before you get that drastic, and you've tried to reset, it sounds like you tried to clear out your Windows and do a fresh install, do yourself a favor. Are you familiar with trying to do something like Linux at all? If you are, I would suggest trying to dual boot off of that and then see if you can get any type of networking on there. If you can, you'll definitely know if it's, you'll know for sure that if it's related to your Ethernet port, because then you're on two different OSs, and from there you'll have, that will give you a good indication if it's hardware related. But I would recommend to do that. Or another thing that you can do is you could either get, just like what Do Everything says, you could try to get another Ethernet cord and try to plug it in, but more than likely that I don't think that's going to do anything, as it doesn't show up as an actual device. What else could you do? You tried installing the drivers, and it doesn't. Does it show up as unknown? Do you know? Does it show up as like an unknown device? If it does, the easiest way to go and check is go to your device manager, go to your unknown driver. If you right click it, go to properties, and if you go to properties, go to the, I think it's the advanced side, and then when you go to advanced, go to hardware ID, and from hardware ID, you'll get the actual number of what your Ethernet is, and copy that number, paste it into something like Google search, and then the proper driver should come up for it. Yep. So that's probably, I bet that, watch that fix it. I have a feeling that could be the case. If not, then I would really hate for it to be the actual Ethernet port. Does that board? Okay. Yeah, check the unknown just in case if it's there. But if you are waiting for the new PSU, then watch that really fix it. Because sometimes it could be something like that. You just might not be getting enough power to your board. So it's just not supplying the power there because the motherboard doesn't see that as necessary as the rest of the motherboard does, the rest of the system. So, hey, Ron, good to see you in here. So that's what I would do. Give that a shot. I'm really curious. Make sure to add Discord. Send some pictures if you can. That would also help. That would also help to see what you have on your build for the most part, at least. Let me see. Let me just check my social stream here. Make sure that it is live. There we go. Refresh, refresh, and refresh. Hopefully it stays connected there. There we go. All right, perfect. So that's what I would check. So what's up, Sock? Hi, Chris. I'm building my very first PC next weekend. Any tips? Oh yeah, I can give you a ton. What's up, Joe Banana? Good to see you. I'm doing great. How's everything with you? So, Sock, I gotta say, if you're building a very first PC, I have to hats off to you. Congratulations, because it's going to be quite the experience. You just want to make sure you have all the proper tools necessary. You want to have at least make sure to have your screwdriver, have your precision tools like your flathead, your Phillips screwdriver. You want to make sure to have. You don't really need like nose needle pliers as much anymore, but they're good to grab if you drop any screws on the motherboard. That they can help you pick up any screws, or you can use something like a little magnetic tool to pick up. That's what I could recommend. Take your time when you do it. There is no rush to build your PC. Usually I recommend if you are building your PC, do work on the motherboard and the CPU outside of the case. Same thing with the RAM and the NVMe, and then put it inside your case. Because then you can do the rest of it later, such as the CPU cooler, PSU. But I gotta say, I'm excited for you. I gotta know what type of specifications are you building your PC with. Great. Great to hear that. You're doing great, Joe. Perfect. Is coding still worth it? Absolutely. Coding is definitely still worth learning. I know we have AI around, but there's always going to be someone who needs to be around to code the AI. So yes, coding is still worth knowing. I know eventually we'll get to the point where we probably won't really need to manually type everything as we once did. We're pretty much almost at that point where you don't have to manually type everything. You have a lot of resources out there that does help you, like when you do like a stack, like full stack, or if you're going into something like Python's good to know too, like just some base Python. It's good to know for yourself, especially if you want to build something. But you can also help AI create something better if you understand the code as well. If you don't know any basis of the code, then it can make it a little bit more difficult. I can see that happening, especially if you're unable to detect any issues. It's good to know on that side. Working wise, I gotta say, it's when it comes to coding, everything is more contractual now. I can say that for certain. But if it comes to like having your own type of coding, like if you're your own contractor, then that's all. It's good to know code for that. Piracy goaded. So yeah, glad to share it. So here are the specs. Yes, for some reason I can't get this. Now my social stream don't want to connect to YouTube now, but I can still see you guys chat. Oh, I know it's not appearing like it should there, so I'll reconnect it right now, which I'm working. Okay, so I'm gonna stop it and then reactivate, and now it should work. Hopefully you guys can see it now. I'm just gonna give it a test real quick because I'm planning to code for work in WWR. Okay. I mean, it's definitely, just go for it. It doesn't hurt to try it. It's a great experience. Just go for it. That's would be my recommendation, because if it's something that you enjoy, I highly recommend doing it. If it's something that you are just doing it for the money, then you're not going to enjoy it. It's going to, in fact, bore you at that point if it's for that. But good luck, Joe. Hopefully you do very well. So let's see if that worked. I'm just going to type something in the chat. Okay, there we go. So now you guys should be coming up on the YouTube side on the chat. For some reason, it wasn't displaying, so that's what I was just fixing, so everyone can see each other. There we go. Perfect. AORUS Elite X AX Ice B650 R7-7800X3D, Kingston Fury DDR5 RAM, 32 gigabytes RTX 5080. Hats off to you once more with the RTX 5080 FE. I don't know how you guys are getting it, but that is awesome to get. And for the AIO, I got the Arctic Liquid Free. Man, you got some great choice. 360mm ARGB for the case and the XT. You'll love that case. No problem, Joe. Yeah, you're gonna. That's actually a really good build. I really like it. Let's see. Is it all white? Or the Kings? You could get Kingston Fury in white too, right? If I'm not mistaken. The only thing that's obviously not going to be white is the 5080 FE. But other than that, that is a awesome build. Yeah, you're gonna love it. It's going to perform very well for you. I love the processor choice on the 800X3D. Yeah, you made a great decision. And what type of NVMe did you choose? Was it? I gotta say, did you decide to just go like Samsung 990, or maybe some sort of PCI Express 4 drive like Western Digital's SN850 is a really good one. But yeah, with that build, it's the good thing about this H6 flow case, I gotta say. It's very easy to take apart. Super easy. There's only notches there that you just like pop off and lock in. So you could really almost take it fully apart, like everything from the front, from the side to the top, and you could have it at its bare minimum. Those are the easiest builds to start with. So you made an excellent choice, I gotta say, for the case as well. But when it comes to PC building, you want to also keep your case bare. That's something I can give you on the tip side too, for sure, Sock. Try to keep everything off the case. Try to strip it down to its bare minimum, because it'll make it way easier for you. And then afterwards, you can just put everything back together. Ooh. But there is a lot that I'm actually looking forward to this year too. I really can't wait for Resident Evil. You know what's crazy? We'll actually probably get Resident Evil 9, right? Before GTA 6, actually, which is pretty insane. I think they said it's coming out February or March, right? 2026 during Summerfest. And the crazy part is GTA 6 will be released sometime in May. I think May 2026, if they choose to stay with the date. And more than likely, we'll probably see a good indication of next-gen consoles coming up as well. Because there's been indications, I know I mentioned it to you guys before. If you guys haven't seen it, I know Sony is in the plans of creating their own handheld system, which is going to be a very good one, in fact. It's going to be based off of Samsung's 2nm node, which is going to be quite the beast. I'm just curious how the battery life is going to be. And it's going to be, of course, a standalone system. It's not going to be anything like the PS Portal, but I would love to see what they come out with. We know Microsoft Xbox delayed their handheld, but we don't know exactly if they're going to continue on that project. There was good indication that ASUS was going to have their own version, which was like a ASUS like Xbox version of it. But I'm curious if something happened between there, if that was the case. So yeah, it's all white except the GPU, of course. Yeah, I kind of figured that too. But yeah, but I'm excited for that to come out to see how well that competes. Does anybody out there, I gotta say, does anybody out there decided to get the new Nintendo Switch 2? Out of curiosity. If you did get the new Nintendo Switch 2, what do you think of it? Because it seems like it's easily accessible to get the Switch 2. And I know it's a bit costly too. It's not a large difference over from the original Switch in terms of course, physically it's going to be quite different, but in terms of innovation, it seems to be lacking there. Because originally, like if you, and what I mean by lacking is when you compare a lot of Nintendo's prior consoles here, like you compare like the Nintendo Wii, like when they first came out, even before the Nintendo Wii, let's go back all the way to 64 even. When you take a look at the Nintendo 64, they had very unique controllers. They were running on cartridges still from Super Nintendo. And then from the next evolution was GameCube, which was a smaller optical disc and a much more portable system. It was like a size of a very small cube where you can carry around and you can take to your friend's house very easily. And then they came out with the Wii, which was quite different. At first, everyone didn't know how to take it because it was quite different, especially with the motion controls. Then from there, you had the Wii U, which was almost like, that was like one of their more failed systems, but it was definitely an underrated system, I have to say. But it was almost like a prototype for the Switch because it had its own screen. And then when the Switch was released, that was like a true hybrid console where you can take it on the go and you could dock it to the TV. But now, like when it comes to Switch 2, it's pretty much the same thing, but the only thing that has really changed on the console was that now you can use the Joy-Con as a mouse instead of, and that's about it. There's no real innovation from Nintendo there, so personally to me, I feel like that's the disappointing side of it. And I'm surprised not so many others see it that way as well. But yeah, no problem. So, no, bro, the Samsung Pro NVMe is overpriced here in Europe. I went to the cheapest 2 terabyte SSD I can find on Amazon. It's a Fanxiang S880 2 terabyte if you're interested. Huh. Oh, that's very interesting. Yeah, let me know how that runs. I'm curious. Got it. Definitely not worth the $800 for the upgrade. Oh, really? 800. Yeah, that's what I thought the same thing. So you kind of align with me too, OSG. I kind of want to wait for an OLED version at least, because at least the screen will be OLED. I know more than likely more people dock it to an OLED TV, just say, but in terms of the whole processing side, we all know, all us PC guys know, that's like really a 2060 inside of the Switch, and that it's just not really producing as well as we would hope it to, because it's running Witcher 3, which came out in 2015, is running at 30 frames on the Switch 2. And yeah, that's something that also bothers me. It's like you still can't run it at 60 in 2025, 10 years later, on a handheld side. But no problem with the help. No problem with the help, Sock. But that was something that bothered me. I'm curious how well, I have to catch some gameplay on it. I'm curious how well Cyberpunk 2077 would play on it. And I gotta say, like I said, like if you really compare it to other consoles, like other, not really consoles, but handheld PCs, it's just like you're able to play games such as Expedition 33, which is really nice. And especially if you already have a PC already, you can, when you buy one game, they'll be on both your PC and your handheld device, which is nice compared to if you're buying it on a platformer, such as if you're buying it on a PlayStation or if you're buying it on a Nintendo, you only get it specifically for that console. It's no longer a split between the two where if you buy it for one, you get it on the other, which doesn't make any sense. Instead, you should be able to have it on both, which is the big advantage when it comes to PC gaming. If anyone out there is thinking of PC gaming. So say you get Expedition 33, you spend like maybe $35. The best part, again, PC gaming is a lot cheaper. So if you do purchase it, $35 for the game, not only do you get it on your PC, but you can also take it on the go. And no, you don't have to be on the internet to play it, which is the best part. And on top of it, you're still getting about 50 frames. So I gotta say, The handheld PC space is definitely getting a lot more traction. Zotac is starting to get more involved. I haven't got to personally see their system yet. I know Lenovo has their system, the Lenovo Go. They're coming out with the Z2 version soon, if they haven't already. I don't think they have yet, but it's quite a fantastic system, I gotta say. When they had Spider-Man 2 on there. Same thing with Lenovo's Legion 2, which will be also the Z2. ASUS will eventually have their Z2. And MSI, I gotta say, MSI out of all of them, if anybody out there is unfamiliar with MSI's Claw, it's practically, again, a handheld PC, but instead they run on Intel's architecture on that specific PC handheld. Only problem is it does have its issues. Now, it seems MSI is really pushing it. They're trying to push their sales. In fact, if you tried to purchase one, it's pretty expensive. In fact, let me show you the pricing of it. It's pretty crazy. Now, if you're thinking of getting MSI because it's MSI, I wouldn't suggest it. And the reason being is because it's the specifications that I don't really like on it. So we'll go on Amazon here and take a look. This is it right here. Right? Quite the system, right? Looks nice. I haven't played this one. I played their original MSI Claw, which I did the review. I compared it to the Ally, but it looks like a decent system, right? But what I find troubling is even the battery's pretty good. That's amazing. 80 watt hours is really good for a handheld PC. In fact, like the current, like the Ally that I have is only 40 watt hours. So it's double that, which is pretty good. Now, this is what bothers me here. If you could see it right there. It's an Intel Core Ultra 7258V. And for us people, especially for those who've gamed on PC for a very long time, that knows about Intel's embedded GPUs, how well they work, or how well they're how compatible they are when it comes to gaming, it's honestly not that great. Now, I'm not saying that they're terrible. They've definitely improved compared to their integrated family graphics, if everybody remembers that, if you're familiar with that. But it's much better than that. But again, I have to say when it comes to the space, the Z2 is much better. And what makes it worse is the fact that the pricing is very high for it, which is right there. And you can see what the pricing is. $1,000 for this handheld PC. So it's $1,000 versus something that you can get for a much better deal, like the ASUS ROG Ally, or even the you could get the ASUS ROG Ally X even for a better deal. Again, but that's on the Z1. If you are thinking of getting a handheld PC, but you already have a PC, I also suggest waiting too. The reason being is because Z2 will be out very soon. And when the Z2 gets released, that is going to be something worth changing too. At least I hope so. Or at least wait till I come out with the review for it, and I'll let you know if it's worth getting the Z2 over the Z1. But it should be around that same price, or even less. It might be more around the $800, $900 range at the most. Now, what this does have that helps it more is that it does have a 1 terabyte drive on there, compared to most of them where they're only about 512 gigabytes. It does have up to 24 gigabytes of LPDDR5X. Again, this RAM is non-removable, so you can't just easily swap them out. They're soldered in. If you want to unsolder them and put your own RAM, you could, but I don't suggest doing it unless you're really good at soldering. Also, this one actually comes with 32, which is pretty impressive. 8-inch display. Again, imagine if they actually come out with OLED displays. That would be a killer. Especially, that they would definitely cook with that. Like if they were able to get some OLED displays on handheld PCs, that would draw a lot of attention. I agree, LSG. LSG says, just finished building my PC last month and definitely going to be playing it more than anything else. Yeah, there's so much capabilities and so many games. You don't have to play these AAA game titles. You have all these independent studios. In fact, Schedule 1, a great game, is only $10. You can really get that game for only $10, and you can enjoy games such as that for just a great price. And the best part is PC gaming online is free. You don't have to pay a subscription at all. So Gabriel says, I will try the unknown and wait for the PSU. Thanks a lot for the help. God bless. Yeah, I'm glad I can help you, Gabe. I hope you joined the Discord. If you did, feel free to reach out, as we're usually on. Now when it comes to LSG, he says all Ultra CPUs are not worth the price. I agree. It's almost, Intel went through this whole rebranding, hoping that they can change their brand. But I'm really curious how it's going to be, especially when Intel comes out with Panther Lake, which is going to be based on their 18A. More than likely, they will be the first ones to try to adapt to things like DDR6. And once again, it's almost like history repeats itself because they always try to get ahead of the ball when it comes to this. But I can see them trying to go DDR6, PCI Express 6. But again, it's like, it just feels like we just entered this whole PCI Express 5s and DDR5 state that already where they're going to try to push DDR6, which is a significant possibility toward September and October. And if they do that, you can imagine all the pricing is going to be super expensive. Because if you guys remember how expensive a DDR5 when it first released, it was like $300 to get 32 gigabytes of RAM. Same thing if you were to get something like NVMe, PCI Express 5, M.2, they were super expensive when they first came out. So we're going to have to go through that hurdle once more if they choose to do that. Also, with the other progresses, such as Cam 2, that's a big thing that they're trying to push a little bit more of. If you guys are unfamiliar with Cam 2, instead of putting in your card vertically, you put this card horizontally, similar to what you would do with the SSD. So it's or similar to what you do with the M.2 drive. So, which I'll show you if you just so you guys get an idea of it. I feel like it's kind of inconvenient for anyone to install it, but the good thing is it can be a lot quicker because it's connected to the bus. I'm sure there's going to be different issues such as heat issues because it's similar to how it is when it comes to M.2. And let me switch over here. Let me just get a good picture of it so you guys can see it. There we go. So I know Intel was like one of those ones that want to adopt to it right away. And they have it on some of their builds. So it looks something like this here. Right there. I'm unable to move it on. Where is it? Trying to get it to move, guys, over in the mobile side at least. Okay. All right, let me. I'll switch back and then try to switch back again. There we go. What the heck? It doesn't want to move. Membership? When? Which membership are you talking about? Just let me know. Ah, man. Now it doesn't want to move over. All right, let me see something. It says it's there. Definitely learned my lesson when trying to build all new gen stuff. Overspent my first build. Definitely don't need Gen 5. Anything to build it. Exactly. That's what I've been stressing about. All right, you know what? Let me switch. Oh, maybe it's because of the size of the screen. Oh, there you go. Is that why? Ridiculous. Well, anyway, this is how it looks. This is Cam 2. This is supposed to be like the new replacement, like when it comes to DDR5. And you can see now it screws in. compared to having it having to just click it in. I just feel like it's so much more easier to brother, I ain't talking about OnlyFans YouTube. That's yeah, no, I got you. But you can see this is on an older motherboard. In fact, this is a Z790 that's on currently. And this is how it would look when you remove it. But this is the idea they want to go. They're talking about ideas of like even stacking it. If you could stack it, then you can increase your memory that way. But what do you guys think of this? Would you prefer this? Or would you still prefer your traditional DDR5? And that, I feel like, is something that's almost like a unnecessary stride. I can say that for the most part, I gotta say that it's almost inconvenient for anyone, especially if you're installing new RAM. Sure, it's just a couple of screws, but we all know how much of a pain it is, especially if you drop your screws inside of your case. So we're going to laptop. Exactly the case. That's exactly the case. It's almost like the funny thing is, what I actually learned this from the guys over at ASUS. Exactly. It might as well get to that point. Eventually, we're gonna start building mobile PCs instead of actual rigs. But when I was speaking to the guys over at ASUS, one of the guys, really good guy, he told me like how they really came out with M.2, and that was all based on laptops practically. So when they thought of this, it wasn't actually meant for use on a desktop, but they found it convenient, so they just put M.2 onto desktops. So it was always meant to be more mobile. But yeah, might as well go build a... Can you imagine building a device such as this? That would be pretty sick, right? Like, but one day it would have to have the power. Like here is like the ASUS ROG Ally, right? One day we're gonna start building these instead of actual PCs, which I could see eventually happen. But that would be pretty wild to build your own custom handheld. And they'll probably be kits where you can get, like, you could 3D print a board. That would be easy enough. Just have to have the right material and everything, because that's what it practically is. It's that's what PCBs are. These motherboards, they're just printed. So you can print your own board, and then eventually, depending on how you want your handheld, and then you put everything together. But you can imagine that would be a whole different level. Definitely a whole different level for sure. Would be great for how is it going to affect cooling? And that's exactly what I mean. More than likely it will. There's probably a thermal. It's going to be a thermal pad on there. Has to be, I would imagine. And would be great for my mobile rig. Not gonna lie, but dang, it'll cost me a lot. Yeah, this. Yeah. It would cost a decent amount. That would be it would be quite the beast though. Hey, can you imagine like how dope it would be to have it in like in your cars and everything? Like you could literally build a PC anywhere at that point, because you could print out a board, you could create your like when you really think about it, the really key components is that you want to make sure that everything is in its proper location on a motherboard. And then when you do these builds, you just got to make sure that everything sits just right. So when you do it, it's going to be like almost like engineering practically. But yeah, it would be pretty dope though if that actually did happen. And I could see, but again, these new devices that will be coming out, I could see it implement a lot more too, like when it does come to the handhelds, because it would make a lot more sense for them to do it on that instead of actually trying to keep doing like the solder. Can you? In fact, it'd be a lot easier because if you were able to make it small enough, then you could actually swap out the RAM instead of actually just soldering it in. But I just wonder if any of these companies would be willing to do that. Of course, it's going to have to be significantly smaller, just like how laptop RAM is compared to standard desktop RAM. There's going to have to be kits for it, and there's already like other kits that you can get where you could solder in. But again, everybody has their own choice in doing that. If you're into soldering, you could definitely do it. I've seen it done too. Like, I'm sure as people seen different ways people integrate it, more VRAM into, say, to their GTX 1080, and by just soldering some in. It's the difficult part is just trying to get it to recognize, so to say. But let's get off that topic real quick. In fact, besides that, I gotta say for this year or this summer, what are everybody's plans for the most part when it comes to the whole PC building side? Are you looking to upgrade anything for the most part, or are you just looking for the Steam summer sale for which is coming in like 18 days or so? Definitely a great time to try to get PC games, because when I was out there, I was trying to get Elden Ring, but it's still priced pretty high. In fact, like if I was to get the whole set, it's like $70, like for the DLC and for the actual the base game. And then if I choose to get the sequel, which is way cheaper, not the sequel, but more so like an addition or side story to it, it's like $35 on top of it. So G40 Production says current rig on my vehicle is an i7 12th gen with 3070 64 gigabytes RAM. Heats a lot, but man, being able to save more space because RAM stands up and would then rather lays flat. Sorry guys, just respond to Gabriel. He just had his Ethernet question. He just has his that same Ethernet question. Sent the picture over, so I'll take a look at that soon. If anybody wants to join the Discord, feel free. And let's see, there we go. Sorry about that, G40. So I'll highlight your comment real quick here. So it heats up a lot, but man, I'm being able to save more space because RAM stands up, then I would choose that. And that's true. You save a lot more space. And if these graphics cards get any bigger, I gotta say, have you guys noticed, and I know you guys noticed this, when you install your GPU and you have M.2 drives and say you want to add one in, how much of a pain it is to actually do it? Because now a GPU is not as simple as just like slapping it in there and that's it. You have these vertical mounts. You have ones where it has these support brackets to help it sit well when it sits horizontally. So you have to disassemble it in order to take off your GPU, which you have to unscrew 4 different screws compared to only 2, just say. And when you pull that out, then you actually have access to your M.2 drives. So imagine when it comes to RAM, and if GPUs get any bigger than what it is, eventually it'll get to the point where GPU will cover like almost half the board. And eventually it's going to cover the side of where the actual RAM will lay down, especially something like CAM 2. So if you take a look at your board there and you see the DDR5, just imagine if the graphics card is just a little bit thicker and you could see it being able to cover it. And when it does, that would also be a pain because you can't get to the screws now because they're all on 4 corners, right? Even though you say you can get to the top 2, now you got to take out the GPU in order to access those other screws compared to just popping out the DDR5. So I could see that possibly happening in the future, and hopefully it doesn't get to that point if they're able to just make it at least smaller if they do decide with it. And hopefully they make it like almost like what they do with M.2 with the quick releases now that they have on these motherboards. Instead of actually screwing it in, maybe they'll have a latch system to where you can just release the latch and able to swap it out, because then that just makes more sense, because overall you just like the convenience of it too. And no more RGBs practically if it's sitting flat, so you can't have any RGBs on your RAM anymore, unfortunately, if that's the case, unless they decide to put like little LED strips on it, to where I guess if they do decide to do it, they would have to put like LED strips almost. Not hard, as my GPU sits next to my motherboard, as not in front of it, since I have... Oh, really? That's pretty dope. I've always thought about doing like those like wall-mounted PCs, but it's like the only thing I'd be afraid of is the whole dust thing. And as you guys know, just like my logo here, I have Jonah, so his hair would definitely get all over it for sure. Because anytime I take apart one of my PC cases, that's what I got to clean out is his hair. Although I don't mind it at all, but just that's something to keep in mind too, is keeping some sort of like a what do you call it? Air purifier. Air purifier will definitely help your PC breathe a lot better if you do have one in your space with your PC. But as long as it's easy to access, but for most people who do have it inside of a PC case, it's not going to be as easy to access, unfortunately. But I bet it looks sick though. And have you guys ever seen the table mounts, like where they have their PC actually like built into the table, or some people do it like underneath. It's where it doesn't look like there's any PC, but everything's. But I would imagine that would be quite the project as well. So I do have to say, let's see here. There's something else I wanted to show you guys too. But I'm really curious how Zen 6 is going to be. And I'm curious to see what they will produce. Because what really drew my attention, I thought about getting this 9950 Extra D. I really wanted to do some more tests, but I'm at the phase right now where I kind of want to just wait for the 10th gen, not 10th gen, but the 10,000 series of these Ryzen processors to release, because I'm more curious about that. And I wonder if will actually be the first generation, if they're going to do like if they're going to have double stack instead of their CCDs instead, which would be nice. And let me go back here real quick, guys. Oh, I really can't wait for this. So it is coming out. I'm just checking out when it's coming out. February 2026. You know that's a must get. They mentioned that. Atomic Heart 2. That's right, Dying Light. They also have that's coming out. Games of Thrones is another game that's coming out. These are all impressive games. I'm really actually personally excited for the Yakuza game, where it's like back in the older days. They also got Ill, which looks pretty dope. But it was quite impressive, I gotta say. I don't really get impressed by any of these game reveals, but they had a really great show for once. Like when I'm sure if anybody out there saw the state of play, it was like a bit disappointing. Sure, they had some games, but it was like really short, and there was not really nothing that they showed that made you want to get anything. But I gotta say, this Summerfest was really good. It was very entertaining for the most part. And what do you think about how he said that they should come out with what's that game? A third version of it, Titanfall 3. That he's sick of playing Call of Duty every year as it is, and that he misses the days of playing Halo, which that they came out with a Titanfall 3, which I think will eventually happen. I feel like that's kind of a hint that that could be a possible release. And but the thing that Call of Duty is doing, which is kind of sickening as it is, because I'm sure everyone has that fatigue of Call of Duty as it is already, to where they want to charge the game $80 and that you're unable to play the new maps unless you get their season passes. So, hey, just a question. What's your opinion on the X3D chips and are they worth upgrading to? I'm currently on the Ryzen 7 9700X with the ASUS Prime X670E motherboard, but I want to upgrade to the 9900X3D with the Gigabyte X870E. Oh, I would say, in my personal opinion, just stick to the ASUS Prime X670E. It's not going to be a significant upgrade if you go X870E. Or at least, if you're not in a rush to upgrade, I would say wait for the new motherboards to come out for the 10 series. Because there's going to be a new set when that releases. Hey, I think the X3D chipsets are great, especially if you use your PC for gaming. And you will notice a difference, especially when you're in frames, because it just knows how to distribute everything better because of it. Hey, just a question, is it worth going for AMD GPUs for production work? I've had bad experiences with 5700 XT and 7800 XT. That's why I want, in all honesty, when it comes to production work, NVIDIA is, I hate to say it, but NVIDIA is certainly better for it. A lot of companies build their production work, such as like DaVinci, Resolve, or such as Adobe. It's all built around NVIDIA. So I would suggest AMD if I could, but in all honesty, NVIDIA is better on that side. I can tell you that for certain. Yeah, that's what I said too. I can't wait. I really hope that it does happen, but it sounds like a good indication it's going to, because it was hinted at Summerfest. I feel like that was more of a hint than anything, because that's why I was saying, like with Call of Duty, they're going to produce more Call of Duty games, which are like $80, and then on top of it, if you want to play the expanded map, which we all know it's going to be something like Nuketown or something like that, where we've all played a million times as it is before, that you're going to have to pay for the expansion maps, which could be like another $10 to get the season pass. If you don't get it, then you will be SOL. You can't play those maps. It's almost like going back to the days where, remember like Halo 2? I think it was like even like Halo 2 where you would have to buy those maps in order to play it. It's like they're kind of reverting to that type of mindset again. But yeah, I gotta say for the most part, yeah, NVIDIA is better on that side. It's much better when it comes to the production side. I just wish companies would also I wish companies would also work with AMD as well. But in reality, they just assume that most people have NVIDIA cards, so that's what they choose to go with. And I really do hope it happens soon, though. I do hope that Titanfall 3 does, because that would be amazing. There's so many games that are coming out, I gotta say. Liza P is another game I haven't played yet, and that's a game that I have to throw on my list. I actually forgot about that game until it was brought up in Summerfest. Then they dropped the new Liza P. That's why I'd rather support something like the finals than feeding the. That's what I mean. COD series is just ridiculous, and I don't get it. I don't know what type of grab they have on people when it comes to it. It's just like they just have this large fan base that keeps feeding them no matter what. It's almost like every other. It's like almost like sports franchises when it comes to like Madden, or if they play something like NBA 2K or something like that, they'll just keep buying the new one even though it's the same thing. And we're almost in the day we are in the day and age where you can easily get the DLC to update the game. I would rather a company say charge like $30 for the DLC, but everything will be up to date for this current year compared to buying a whole new game where you still have to buy DLC anyway. It it just boggles my mind there. But I agree. The finals, the funny thing is I've been playing the finals, but I got to play the finals like for a week, and I have to get back into that again because the finals is actually a lot of fun to play. And I do have to say, when it comes to these developers, the best part is when you go into the whole PC gaming realm. Again, you have all the options to purchase from independent studios. You don't have to buy from the AAA studios, which are nice. And a lot of them are great, especially if you enjoy retro games. There are so many choices when it comes to that. And let me go back here, but let me show you this real quick. Let's go to Zen 6, since we are on Zen 6. Animusha, that's another one I can't wait. See all these games. I'll just show you my other screen here. Right there. Like games like this. So this is on WCCF Tech. Like take a look at all these different titles that they are coming out with. I'm excited for Animusha, which is another game that I haven't played in ages. Ninja Gaiden 4. Opinions on Steam's consumers' right protection. Kind of love that they piss on EA. Yeah, I agree. I really despise EA and Ubisoft because they're the ones that really have this idea of just cashing in on their customers, and that's all they worry about. They don't produce quality, but they worry more about the sales of what they can sell. Code Vein 2, I've never played the first one, so I can't say how that is, but a lot of these games actually look really good. And Stranger Than Heaven's another one. And Zen 6. This is what I wanted to let me find Zen 6 real quick, guys. Ooh. This is another game I haven't played either, was Wukong yet. I went through the demos and everything, but never got to play it. There it is, Liza P. Overture. That's another game that's going to be coming out. Shadow drop this weekend. Where is it? I know they had to bring it up. Oh well, I'll get right back to that anyway. If I find it. Yeah, I know there's a mention of Zen 6 here. There it is. Found it. So next gen list coming out soon. So if anyone is thinking of it, they have indications. This is what it was. They had a patch on Linux for this. Right here. And that gives you the indication of it coming out. Preliminary support for next generation AMD desktop, server, and mobile processors. What browser would you recommend? I myself can't get out of Microsoft Edge since the rewards man who doesn't want a free box. Yeah. You know what's funny? Personally to me, I really like Brave. But the problem is, Brave has this issue where it does not sync all across like I wish it would. Personally, I would love to use Brave if I could. But that's the only thing that I don't recommend using them is because they have sync issues. So if you want to sync it to your phone, they don't. Currently, I use Firefox, but I want to leave Firefox. I really do. If Brave could get just a bit better on that side, on the syncing, then I'll finally leave. But I was using Edge actually for a long time too myself, like for a good couple of years. And then I just ended up swapping out for Firefox. But Edge is actually a decent browser, regardless of what people say. If you enjoy, and it's actually one of the browsers that gives you true definition. It gives you the true definition of video compared to most other browsers, such as if you use Google Chrome or I think I have to see the full list again. But compared to other browsers, it actually gives you the full 4K display if that's what you're looking for, compared to other browsers where it says it's showing you 4K, but it's really not. But that separates Edge for that. So Sanguine says, I just bought a used RX 6600 XT for $140. Is it normal for this to be around the 100 Celsius hotspot temp or Furmark at stock? Is this safe? If it's hotspot, I'm wondering what is its base thermal rating? Hotspot is it's actually kind of high, but now is that while you're in Furmark? Of course, you're gonna be pushing the card. I honestly, I gotta say, that's a little bit high. That is a little bit high. It's a little concerning, I gotta say, but it is its hotspot. I would give it a little bit more testing. Have you noticed any type of any defects such as artifacts or anything like that, or any type of tearing? Yeah, I know. It's still live. I actually just went back to Firefox like maybe 2 years ago. It's like I see, I have no loyalty when it comes to browsers. I feel like I swap out all the time. Yeah, I kind of... Alright, so... since the seller said that, he admitted that he's probably saying, yeah, this... Anytime a seller says this, like it had corrosion, like, at least he was honest with you. So if that's the case, then I would suggest cleaning it at least, or replace it with another heatsink, which would be easy enough. But you already spent $140 on it as it is. So yeah, you put yourself in a rock and a hard place there. You might want to repaste it based on personal experience. When I built my friends, we had secondhand as well for $130. Yeah, so I would, yeah, definitely got to do that. Definitely have to repaste it. Also get a new heatsink if you can. You could probably get one for dirt cheap, I'm sure, online. Especially from a lot of online retailers will definitely be able to sell it to you. No problem, Sanguine. Thank G42 since he mentioned it as well. But yeah, for the most part, hot take, 9060 XT is fine. People just bitching about the naming. It's just like a phone. There's 256. Yeah. Besides the pricing of the 90 XT, it's very. I agree. It's very competitive. There's people complaining. I know people are complaining because the way it's being tested. I'm planning on getting a 9060 sometime soon. When I do, I want to test it myself. People are running tests on it like wrong tests. Like you shouldn't be testing a 9060 in 4K. I mean, you're not buying it for that reason. Anybody with half a brain knows that this 9060 isn't for 4K. So why are they benching it in it and saying, "Oh, this card's terrible"? That's a wrong way of doing it. It's meant for just like typical resolution, like 1080. And it was already mentioned. Frank Azar already mentioned this. Hey Gabriel, now I can hear the Windows sound when I'm connecting and disconnecting the Ethernet cable, but still doesn't work, or show as an option. Oh, so it sounds like, you know what that really makes me think of? If you're hearing that while you're doing it, then I would shut off your PC, take off the side of your case, just see if there's any fractures in the solder. If there's fractures or anything like that, then it's probably just loose. It's not sitting on the board properly. Because you just might have to resolder it some. See if it's possible. Because that's what the case could probably be. Just or follow where the actual Ethernet controller is. You'll follow the line to where it goes, and then see if that's in there properly. But that's what it sounds like. Give that a shot, and more than that, likely that might fix it. But again, since you're getting new power, what is code 45 for the Are you getting this on the but you said it's not showing up on the Ethernet, right? When you're getting these codes, where is it showing up on your unknown device? Let me see. I'm gonna open up your Discord now. Oh, that's dope. You got a 9070 XT? Yeah, I don't blame you. I'd be hyped to put that in too. Okay, so your control. You know what's crazy? This is a common issue. This is an Intel controller. I know this one. Ethernet. Okay, so it's showing. Yep, I'm looking at it now. Code for. Okay, so what you want to go, I'll tell you where to go. You already tried to install the new driver as it is, right? And it still gives you the same issues. So did you go to Intel's website? Instead of your motherboard's website, go to Intel's website to download the driver. And if you do that, do a clean install. Don't do just a regular install, like where you're just replacing the driver. If you do a clean install, that should help fix your issue there. If that's the case. Hey, genuine question. What was your first ever PC building mistake? Mine was leaving the plastic on the cooler on my first PC, then panicked, since I plugged the reset and power on the opposite of each other. You know what's funny? These mistakes happen all the time. In fact, like when I first built a PC, before knowing really anything about building PCs, originally when you got a PC case, they didn't really have the motherboard standoff screws in there. So when I first built a PC, I was about like, I think it was, how old was I? 13 or 14 at the time. Like when we first got these PCs, they didn't have the standoff screws. I saw them, but I didn't really think of anything of it. I've taken PCs and everything before, so I had experience on that side, but never a motherboard. So anyway, when I got the PC, I actually ended up I got a motherboard, which was from Gigabyte. I remember. I forget which board exactly it was, but it was for the AMD Athlon 3800X, I think it was. And when I put this motherboard in, I didn't put the standoff screws in. So I just installed it without any standoff screws. So it was sitting directly on the case itself. And I put everything in there together. Everything. And I'm wondering why it's not really working correctly. And then I was like, oh, I have to fix this issue, because then I realized like what those were actually for were standoffs. So I had to take apart everything in order for me to install these standoff screws for the motherboard. So you can imagine how long that took me to build that computer as it was. But that was like when I first built a PC. But you know what? I'll send you the link, in fact. Let me give you the link real quick. right here. This should be it. And sending you the link right over on Discord. Try this first. Get the full complete driver pack. That's going to be up on the top, which is, I will screenshot and send to you. Yeah, I know. I was in denial. Like, if that thing shorted, I would have been dead. And it was an expensive build at the time, too. It was really expensive. I saved all my money, like, in order to do this PC. And if it would have not started, I would have been so devastated. That was a scary moment, though. That was very scary. Welcome everybody, saying what's up to everyone who joined Discord. I appreciate all who's joined. I gotta hear, has anybody else made some pretty devastating mistakes? Well, everybody's been through it. We've all been through different mistakes. It's funny too. I don't know if you heard that story too about how I got my like first like actual gaming graphics card when I ended up getting my first GPU. I told my father that I needed to get it for school because the PC can't run without it. Comparing Intel AMD CPUs is so bad right now. How do you think Intel can recover? Could they improve the platform like AMD, or are they just too? Well, that's the funny. That is a great question you brought up, X Pizza Pie. In fact, I'll highlight it. That's how good of a question it is, I think. In fact, I gotta say, when it comes to this, when it comes to Intel's marketing strategy, they hired Pat Gelsinger, he was in charge for, 2024? He was in charge since 2022, about 21, 22. And when he got hired in, it was his idea with Alder Lake, with Raptor Lake, refresh. You get the idea. When it came to all those Intel LGA 1700 sockets, he was going to change the way Intel worked. And this is where the big failure came in. He was producing these products, and then when the next generation came in, where it was supposed to be a large, big increase, where Intel should have took a very good lead. In fact, they were expected to take the lead because they were actually one of the first ones that came out with PCI Express 5, DDR5, and you would think that they would take a good market share and take good position, especially because AMD is still on AM5. So when Intel came out with their new generation, their new rebound brand, when it came to Ultra, they called it Intel Core Ultra 9, Intel Ultra, all the Ultras, and they came out with this generation. It turned out to be a straight disappointment. The sales were so bad, it was embarrassing to Intel. So instead, what they did was they fired Pat Gelsinger, they hired the new CEO, and they put a lot more money into the R&D, which is the whole 18A process. 18A is supposed to be the more improved version and a much better version of Intel's processors. In fact, it's supposed to compete next to the 2nm node, but instead they realized that they couldn't compete with that just quite yet. So instead they're competing more with the 5nm node. So overall, Intel is supposed to do a large scale improvement within October of this year. So if they're able to do it, it would be very impressive. Right now, they are drowning in their losses. I mean, it's bad. They are losing money everywhere, from not just the consumer side, but in the actual market. Hence why Apple decided to drop their contracts with them, and they have their own ARM processors, why so many different companies did not want to deal with Intel anymore. But yeah, awesome question. Hopefully things do get better for Intel. We need more competition. AMD is great and all, but we don't want them to turn into NVIDIA when it comes to the processor space. So Amal says, hi, I want to buy a new PC for design and video editing. What is best? Great question. Another great question. What you really want to get when it comes for things like video editing is, and for design and video editing, I should say, is you need to focus on the CPU most of all. CPU is going to be very critical on you, depending on the type of application you use. Design, you're going to definitely use CPU, depending on the video application, whether you use DaVinci Resolve or if you're using something like Premiere, which is more CPU based. You want to get something like a... Now, this all depends on how much you're willing to spend. They have up as high as these Threadrippers, which are going to be expensive, and depending how much work you actually do, or you have something to... Or are you looking for something more of a consumer level to where you can do, is it just going to be strictly video editing and graphic design? That's the first thing I have to know. Second part is, if it is, I'll just say this. If it is, then you want to get something like a 9950X or something along those lines, or even Intel's, which is going to be good. If you have a certain budget, I recommend the 14900K. That would be good for something like that. Graphics side, it wouldn't matter as much. As I actually mentioned this earlier, which is something I would recommend is going to NVIDIA when it comes to it. You just want to look for enough VRAM. The power in it doesn't really matter as much. In fact, you could get something like the A5000, which is more of a workstation type of GPU, which has plenty of VRAM. It's just not built for graphical gaming. So, in my opinion, Intel since 2013, AMD now is looking way more better than Intel, not only in price go, performance, efficiency, and watt usage. What's up, Wasabi? Good to see you. I'm doing great. X Pizza says that was really insightful. Intel was so ahead before AM4. I just didn't know the background. Their sockets are really confusing. Thanks. The market needs balance to keep. I completely agree. I actually am a big fan of Intel's Alder Lake. I thought it was a great start for Intel. I thought they were going to do big things afterwards. But because of everything that transpired after, that was really on Intel's fault. Because Intel should have not let go of that lead. They really started going downhill once they started going towards the refreshes, like Raptor Lake refresh. And once they started going into that side, because it was, you had the thermal issues. Then they rushed, it seemed that they rushed the next series out, which was the 15th gen, where it was supposed to be more power savings and give you as equal performance. In fact, if anybody's on the LGA 1851, such as actually the board right behind me, like any Z890s, or if you're on a B860, any of those boards, you're going to be stuck in 2024, just to give you a heads up. Because this year, for Intel, they're swapping over the socket over to LGA 1956 instead of LGA 1851, which is what they're on now. So they kept LGA 1700. I know all the socket numbers, right? But anyway, they kept LGA 1700 from the 12th gen to the 15th gen to make it more clear. Now, when not 15th gen, but to the 14th gen, the 15th gen is its own little place, whereas LGA, where it's LGA 1851, and now from the 16th gen and so on, which is now Panther Lake, is going to be everything surpassing it. It should be 18A. It's going to be on a new socket, LGA 1956. So it's like a not a refresh, but almost like a they're redoing everything. They're rebranding their name once more. So, but at the end of the next week, I will purchase a 9070 XT. I was thinking about making a video of my AM5 build upgrade. Oh yeah, do it. I would, yeah, that would be great. You gotta send it over on Discord. Let us know. Do I need to select an update package for me specifically, or my specific Ethernet controller? Well, when you select the update package, I would just go 1225V if that's what it's showing you. Just pick that specific package. Or you could just choose all of it. It's not going to all apply to you anyway. All the other drivers are not going to install. But that complete set is just specifically for your Ethernet. Yeah, for sure. But yeah, if anybody hasn't joined the Discord channel, it seems like people are finding it. That's awesome. I really appreciate everybody reaching out. We're hitting a pretty decent number actually now on Discord. We're just over 80. Let's be honest, Intel is a company that is having, that's the problem, internal issues where they're affecting their CPUs. Remember that time when there's EO switches yes. Yeah, there's even more backstory. I could even go back further. In fact, I could go back to the 9th generation where it really started going in. That's when it started going into decline. The real decline was the 9th generation. Reason being, the 9th and the 10th generation, 9th generation was pretty good. It wasn't a big improvement over 8th. In fact, it was very incremental. It was like almost like 5% of a difference. But anyway, then they went to the 10th gen after the 9th. And the 9th and 10th gen, they actually were like twins. They were practically the same processor. And during that time, they would try to deface AMD. They would say, oh, AMD's terrible because they would glue their processes together. And you know who was gluing their processes together actually? It was Intel. If you took off their lid and you saw it, they actually glued their processes on there. So they were the ones doing that. They're just to try to capitalize on more money. And the lab would tell them ways to get better, how to make these processors better, how they can get ahead. But their bosses didn't want to hear that. They wanted to hear the cash flow. They wanted to make more money. They didn't want to spend more money. They just wanted to make money. And from there on, that's when it all went to just went to hell practically after that. I really do like the Battlemage GPUs. They probably should focus on it more. If they are not going to have very strong CPU packages this year, yeah, Battlemage series, I gotta say, they're pretty impressive. Have you guys seen the B570, which is their Battlemage card, which is actually meant for things like for deep learning? It's like 48 gigabytes. It's almost like a throwback of what NVIDIA and AMD used to have. AMD used to have Crosshair, and NVIDIA used to have, it was Sly. And they had those two different connections. Anyway, Intel came out with their own version of it, and it's like all in one card where they have 2 GPUs in it, and it's up to 48 gigabytes of VRAM. So it's great for things like AI, but terrible if you want to use it for gaming. Reason being, there's only 20 shader cores on there. So if you even think about trying to do, not shader cores, but ray tracing cores. So if you even think about trying to game on that thing, it's going to run like complete ass. I am lost. How do I run the update? Okay. Let me check. Let me check it out. Did you send a screenshot on? Okay. So when you get, oh, okay. That's my fault. I just realized something. Right. Okay, just make sure to run it on Windows. I'm just going to download it real quick just to see what you have. So it downloads it as a zip file because you're going to have other files in there. You have other files of like things like Linux. You're not going to need kernels or anything like that. So let me just open this up so I can see what you're seeing. And then I can help you out here. In my opinion, as Intel user since 2013, AMD is now looking way more better than Intel, not only in price, go, performance, but efficient. I agree. That's another issue. And the whole issue with their Raptor Lake and their other refreshes burning up, Arrow Lake, it's just terrible. Let me just scroll down. So, so when you open it up, you're going to see a file. Let's see. Let me just, okay. So, it should be, okay. The reason why it looks so confusing is because you have a mix of all different tools in here. Boot utility. This is a mess. I'm trying to lead you to the setup. It should look something like this. Yeah. That should be the right file there, the one I just sent you. Because it's going to be going to be a package that you're going to open up. And when you open up that package, that should do it. Yep. He just needed help unpacking it. Because the way they packed it, you joined our Discord, right? If you go to the questions and answers side, you'll see what he needed help with, because it's just a big mess of everything in there. So you just had to go over to the setup file, where I led him to. Because if you see it, the way Intel, again, this is like Intel's, I don't know why they packed it like this, to be honest. It's kind of a mess. I don't know if it's related. I don't know why Linux is very popular right now. How different is it to Windows? Is it that I have a Microsoft Suite, want to see if it's nice. Now, what I highly recommend, if you want to try Linux, there's two ways you can try it. The two different ways of trying out Linux is you get a VMware, or like some sort of virtual PC. You download that. It's called VMware. If you download that, you can try out Linux. It's like a PC in a PC practically. If you install Linux on it, you can open it up just like as if you were on your PC using Linux. Or you can dual boot Linux, which is also the other option. But I always prefer the first option because that gives you a good indication of what Linux is like. Second part to answer it. What's up, Alicio? Good to see you. Hopefully I said it correctly, Alicio. But I think I have a video on it. If I don't, I should create one. I'll create a video based on how to set it up virtually. But when you set it up virtually, it'll act as if it was on your own PC. When you open it up, the big difference is because it's very convenient. You don't have to worry about Windows updates. You don't have to worry about different background services that you don't know that are not running properly. You have control of your system. That's the big thing about Linux. You have absolute control. You have less problems when it comes to viruses because of it, because everything's based under a super user. So the advantage of Linux is you could set it exactly how you want to customize it. It's practically, if you used Android, it's kind of like that, but quite different because you have to run commands on a lot of different things, such as updates. If you're to update, you have to run a command for it. If you're to open a certain software, you might have to run a command. To install software, you might have to run some sort of command. So it can be convenient, but at the same time, it can be troublesome. And some people after using Linux could appreciate Windows more, and then some people who get into Linux will like to stay on Linux. So it really depends on personal preference, really. Yeah. Yeah, that's the fun. It's true, right? Like after a while, you can get sick of Linux, and the reason being is because it's just sometimes it's just inconvenient. Like if you want to open up OBS Studio, just like we have open right here, you have to run a command for it, and then you have to figure out why, if it's not working. You have to run a command if it's not full screen, for example. It's like different things like that. You might feel that's kind of a headache, but I mean, it's worth trying out. It is still a beautiful system, but again, it's more about like the efficiency. How efficient do you want to be? If you really care about your own efficiency, Linux isn't great for that, because you have to type everything. Right now, I did. Okay. So hopefully your setup is going good. Yeah, he just needed to answer, I'm sure he probably figured it out by now, but he's just figuring out the setup file. Because when you see this file, if I zoom in, I'm going to go on Discord real quick so you guys can see what we're seeing here. Where the heck did Discord go? It should be showing up. There we go. Perfect. Now it should show up. But anyway, this is how it comes up as. It comes up as OS dependent, VMware, Linux, two more. The two more are Windows based too. So that's the big problem there. So everything's packed into one. So that's his big issue. So his file kind of looks like this. So we just had to direct them to his setup file. So it's quite a mess, as you can see. And again, thank Intel for this. Intel's very good they're experts at destroying the things that you enjoy, or they're experts at destroying convenience. Oh, thanks so much. I really appreciate it. X Pizza Pie. I really do. I appreciate it. Hopefully, I don't know why the animation didn't come up, because usually I got these animations that come up, but it seems like they don't want to come up as much. But I'll definitely bring you up on it. But if you go into there, that should be able to fix that execution file, should be able to open it up and install from there. It's the first time I'm sending and first watching you. I really appreciate the time you provide for each. Yeah, it's no problem at all. This is what I enjoy doing, and again, it's something I like to do, and I have a whole Discord channel on it too for anyone that has any questions, or if anybody's doesn't want to put their question out in public, you can also put it through Discord as well. It did fail. Oh no. What did it say? Out of curiosity. It just said that it didn't exist. Or did it just say not detected? Oh, right there, I see it. The drivers for one or more devices failed to install correctly. I see it. Curious, what is your dream setup? My dream setup? My dream setup would be a water-cooled, it would be a completely water-cooled PC to probably like the most craziest parts would be like the ASUS ROG Maximus would be pretty dope, with up to maybe like in a Lee case, I could see probably with 2 different pumps running for like just the GPU and the CPU separately, it would look pretty wild, I would think. I would want at least, now the RAM, I don't really mind as much. Honestly, you know what's actually more of a dream PC? If I was able to get my hands on that new Threadripper. That would be dope. Shimida Peak, that is quite the monster. That's actually more of my dream PC. Even though it's not like a gaming PC, but I really appreciate the power of the Threadripper series, I gotta say. Okay. To help you out, Cap, check out, just go back to your device manager real quick and see if it installed something. Because it might have failed other drivers. Like if there was, again, they packed it weird. So it might have installed tried to attempt to install on other drivers, which I kind of suspected. If it did, just see if it still installed your Ethernet port. Because it might show up. If not, we'll figure something out here. If that's the case, might as well just reinstall Windows and run the update again. And you know what? I do have to say, just like when you reinstall Windows, yeah, he's right about this. Because Windows can be quite crazy when it comes to this. Because when Windows might try to update something that is unnecessary. Like, for example, like your 9070 XT, if you're installing that, Windows might try to install the driver for it. Do not let Windows do that side of it. What I would highly suggest to do, you said you're on a Gigabyte board, correct? Is it? Still shows as hidden. That is so weird. Okay, did you uninstall your driver? Just right click it, uninstall it, and just refresh it from there and see what happens. So you're gonna go into your device manager, just uninstall it like you were. ASUS ROG Strix, okay. So right click it, uninstall it. B550. All right, so let me help you out here. Let me see if I can do this for you. So right now, what I'm gonna do, are you on the F gaming, is it? Or are you on the E gaming? E gaming, F gaming. They also have the 550A as well. You know what? Let me, did you send me your device manager? No. Okay. Let me see if I can find it. In fact, I'm just going to take a wild guess and see if they have this board correctly. F gaming. Okay. So we got the F gaming. So we're going to go into the global side of it. And right here. So what I will do, wow, this Intel, man. Okay, it seems like the only source of it now. Okay, so try to do this. I'm going to send this over to you. Go here. And go to the very top one where it says LAN. It says it's the newest one for 2024. And that should be able to do it. Just keep your driver uninstalled for now. And then install it that way. And you said it's never worked, so we can't even go back and do like a system restore, because typically system restore will fix a lot of problems. Like if you ran into a problem recently and it hasn't happened for years, like if it happens, say like for a month, you had the problem, no problem. You can easily go to your system image restore. It's called backup and restore. You want to go to there and you could restore your old image to where it was working, and then it won't have a problem anymore. And that can fix a lot of issues. You don't have to reinstall Windows all over again or anything like that. That's like one of the easier fixes when that happens. But yeah, try going to over here, go to the LAN side, click downloads. It should be more direct. Again, until I don't know why they decided to pack it that way. I know they have another way to do it, which is, let me go here. You go to auto update your drivers. This is also the other option. It might not even detect it. So that's why I didn't recommend this one yet. By the way, make sure to turn off Windows auto updates in the meantime you're installing new drivers. That's also a good point. To do that, you go here to, I'll show you. I can't screenshot it. Let me see. You're going to go to your settings and Windows updates. Advanced options. And then, let me see if I can do this at least. And then I'll try to send you a copy of it. But this is the easiest way to access it. You'll go to pause for a week, just say, or pause it however long. But it'll look like this. And I have to go to the, oh, I could go right here, in fact, and open it up. Didn't want to do that. If you guys have any questions at all about like your PC builds or anything, feel free to ask as well, as we're here to help out. Let me see. NVIDIA. So right now we're just trying to fix this Ethernet port. 531. Yeah, this is it. All right, perfect. We'll crop that. Ooh. And let me just circle this real quick. Right there. Oh no, I don't want to fill it. There we go. Make it red. It's funny. It's like a lot of steps just to do this. Windows update. There we go. Go to the desktop here, and here it is. Perfect. Okay. But yeah, if nobody has experienced Linux, give it a shot. See how you like it. It's almost like it's if you ever dealt with the Android system, that because it is based on the Linux, it's kind of like that because that's what it's based on as a super user. So when you are doing installing your applications or whenever you're doing anything practically on it, installing kernels, installing some sort of updates, everything is based on it. It is open source OS, so it does, you can, usually you'll get a lot of stuff, and I really thank GitHub for this because you should have seen Linux before the days of GitHub and how much more work it was to get things. But it's definitely a lot more easier than what it was like a long time ago for sure. And it's a good experience, especially if for those who want to get into programming, that also kind of helps it because you have like open capabilities when you are programming. There's no type of limits when it comes to it, which is nice. Hopefully that helped. All right, perfect. So, yeah, give that a shot. In fact, I'll be trying it later today. We'll be playing Expedition 33 on Linux, practically. Bazite is based off of Linux. It's on, I believe it's on Fedora, is what they use. And there's different versions of it. The first one I've actually used when it came to Linux was Ubuntu, and that was like my go-to one. But there's different versions of it for your liking when it comes to Linux. See what would fit your needs when it comes to it as well. As each one will use different ways to install things. If you use Bazite, they use Flatpak, so it's not great for those who are interested like in programming or anything like that. It's better to go to something like Ubuntu for that. But do you think we will see all water-cooled PCs, or if possible? And what I mean is including the motherboard, RAM, CPU, GPU storage, even PSU in a single water-cooled system. Is that crazy? You know what's funny? We're close to there. We could do the RAM. You can do the SSD. You can do almost everything. Yeah, mineral oil. You can do almost everything. The only thing we can't do is the power supply. They have motherboards such as the one I mentioned, the Maximus. You can water cool it. They'll actually have dedicated water cooler ports where it runs through their VRAM. Let me see. All right. And devices, and no. Oh, wait. Yes, it should. Yeah, it looks like it's missing. See, the thing is, when it comes to this, when it comes to networking and I/O, real quick, it should show technically under there, but when it's Bluetooth and Wi-Fi, they're actually all the same device. So it seems like it's picking that as your primary device. Have you installed the driver to see what would happen? But to get back to your question, X Pizza Pie, I'll show you. In fact, I'll share it with you. So if you go to the ASUS Maximus, yeah, yeah, it's pretty insane, right? Like you get, there's people that put fish in it and everything. This one's an older one, the Z690, but it's dope. It's definitely dope though. Right here. So this is how the motherboard would look. And you see how they got the water ports for the in and out. So all of this is water cooled. All that clear purplish, bluish tint, that's where it would travel through. And those are the tunnels for where the water actually travels. For the RAM, it looks even crazier. The RAM looks something like, I'll show you. But the RAM's even funnier. Wait till you see the RAM. You would have to take off the heatsink it's on, and you would install this heatsink. Now this would, it looks something like this. This one's actually a pretty interesting look, I gotta say, for the most part. This is Thermaltake's design here. And it looks just like this. You see you got your RAM right here, and that big block is your water cooler block. So you could literally water cool it like this. And typical, and some overclockers, especially those who are very competitive with it, this is the type of system you will want, because you could really push it. And you know what's really nice about water cooling systems such as this is that it is silent. It is really quiet compared to having fans all over the place. And that's certainly an advantage to take up. Here goes a video of one. So This is practically like water cooled everything here. The RAM, we know the GPU can be water cooled, CPU, of course. The motherboard, and all that's left really is the PSU. Yeah, my days of doing yearly maintenance on that would be a that's the biggest thing that bothers me about water cooling. It's not only more expensive to do it, but it's just the maintenance part would suck. Is that you have to clean it out every once in a while, and the process to make sure it's not leaking. That's the biggest thing. Is when you connect the power supply, you have to connect it in a test mode, and when you put it in that test mode, that's when you run the water through it to make sure nothing's leaking. If it does, you got to start all over again, and you have to wait a whole nother day to make sure it's not leaking. And you have to do the same practically when you have to take it apart and clean it too. So maintenancing is not really any fun on a water cooling system, but it's definitely dope as hell and quiet. Yeah, everyone's joining in onto the Discord. The ASUS LAN driver is done. Even after running the ASUS LAN driver, it doesn't show up on device manager. Those parts are crazy though. The system I wish I could build is, yeah, that's what I mean. I feel the same way. Like, it would be like a Threadripper that's water cooled. That's my dream. Threadrippers are so expensive anymore. I'll show you how expensive they are too. Yeah, at this point, okay, so this is what I would do at this point. If it's not showing up because of this, okay, I would say I would wait for the new PSU first. If that doesn't work, then do a fresh install. Make sure to back up your Windows. I always recommend backing up just in case if you don't want to go through that whole process again anyway. And hopefully that will fix it. I'm guessing hopefully it's just not enough power to your board. I highly recommend definitely doing a backup of your Windows and then doing a fresh install at this point, because it sounds like there's a corrupted file more than likely. G40, to answer your question, what was the inspiration? It's my actual dog here, but he's not chilling with us today. He's I actually have a Jonah cam, and I had it all set for him, but he decided to not show his face today. But it was due to him. That was the inspiration for the dog, actually. And I actually have, I'll send a picture of him, matter of fact, on the Discord. So if you go to the co-op companion side, I'll send another picture of him so you guys can see him. Maybe I think I have it right here. Let me just check. But he was the big key, especially because he's getting a lot older now. He just turned 13 in May. We did a big celebration for him. And now he's just going to be, we just want to make sure he gets to travel with us more than anything here. But here he is. This is him. Yeah, he took he doesn't feel like being in here today. I don't think so. The thing is, it does get pretty warm in here because there's so many PCs in this studio, so it can get pretty uncomfortable at times. No, not at all. I don't mind it. Oh yeah. Oh, speaking of which, let me show you real quick exactly the what a Threadripper calls. Let's take a look at Shimada Peaks. Threadripper. I don't think it's out yet. It's announced, but not out yet. Yeah. But let's take a look at a Threadripper anyway. I'll just show you how much a standard one costs now. Your jaw will probably drop, more than likely. And this is sold by Newegg. This isn't no third party. This is literally sold by Newegg. Now, if you go right, let me zoom in here. I'll pick this one right there so you guys can see it. Right there. That's it. And the price. Where is it? Right there. That's just for, yeah, no. Another question, how many PCs I have? 4 right now. Currently, I have 4 PCs right now. The main one that I use, that's actually a Threadripper PC, but it's a much older one now. It's based on Zen 2. Yeah, it's on Zen 2. And it's the 3970X. And this is the one I strictly use for like video producing and for editing and for streaming. The gaming PC that I currently have is right behind me. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's why I'm saying, like, for something like this, it's quite insane. I know I don't need all this power, but it's just like one of those things where if you did have a dream PC, this would be it. The other 2 PCs I actually are selling. So if anybody's interested in it, it is on my website here. And just let me know you're interested. And unfortunately, I only ship within the US. So if you are interested in it, feel free to let me know in Discord, and I can try to work a price with you there instead of purchasing straight through the website. But also it's a 79. The ones that I do have, it's a 9070 XT, which is the one right behind me, and also the other one is a RTX 4090. If anyone's interested in that build, of course I will charge very fairly on pricing. I'm not going to rip anybody off on a PC, of course. But those are the 2 ones that I do need to get rid of, mainly because it's to build another PC, really. So it's kind of just the way the whole builds work. So usually when I get rid of a build, I'll just build another one, and then it gets on a cycle kind of like that. But they're both great PCs. One's an AMD Ryzen. The 4090 specifically is the RTX 4090. Has a AMD 7950X3D. I will upgrade the RAM and the SSD if anyone here does buy it. Also, what else? It has 32 gigabytes of DDR5, 6000 megahertz, and up to, what else? As a AIO Corsair LCD cooler. Very good build. G40 Production says, dang, one more and both of us have the same amount, but mine's is one is my older one and the other 2 newest ones on the car on my room are both 12th gen and 3070s. Basically a cycle of them. Exactly. Pretty much. That's the real reason why I do it. I do it because I love to do this for, not for profit, so to say. It's more for just, I enjoy doing this channel. It's for building, really. And especially because then it gives you more of a fair insight of if it's worth actually building a PC or if it's worth upgrading to a certain GPU, so that way people don't have to spend extra money and find out the hard way, which sucks. And we've all been there where we've upgraded and we said, why the hell did I upgrade to this? Excuse me. My phone's going crazy. It's just my... Just responded to my wife. She just she's actually already over in Taiwan, so I'll be meeting with her when I get over there. But if anybody wants to see any place specific, I will definitely go to Taiwan and show you all the different locations. NVIDIA's building their next headquarters over there, which is going to be pretty exciting. But they have a lot of standalone stores. If you haven't been to Taiwan, I always recommend going, especially if you are a big PC enthusiast or any enthusiast at all, really, when it comes to tech. I mean, there is a lot to do there. Great food. They have their own individual stores. ASUS has a great store there. Razer has their store. Any brand you can really think of when it comes to PCs, they have their own individual store, and you could get even like you could get some dope accessories there, I gotta say. And I will definitely stream that to you guys once I'm there, which will be exciting. It'll be within about 5 weeks when I'll be over there. But I do appreciate everybody. Hey, you want to try the... Yeah, I agree. Taiwan sponge cake is really good. The biggest thing I love, you got to try Taiwan's beef noodle. It's also great. And that's what they're really known for, is their beef noodle. But they have so much great food. They're actually Taiwan's more of the first ones who actually created bubble tea. So if you're a fan of bubble tea, that's the place to go. But everything you could think of, they have food for everything. It's just amazing. Even if you go for a ramen or anything, if you're a fan of ramen, ramen is really good over there too. But yeah, for sure. If you want to see food, let me know. I will take you to on stream to any food places. There's actually the original place that had bubble tea in Taiwan is in Taichung, is where they have the original bubble tea. The funny thing is, I've never been there, and I've been to Taiwan many, many times, but I've never been to the original place. I've got to try it. I've always seen the videos for it, but I just never got to go there. So I do got to say, hopefully I helped everyone out there. I know I'm getting bombarded with all kinds of stuff. Let me wave hi to X Pizza, and hopefully everyone got to join the Discord. 3, 2, ask questions anytime. G40, you in Manila? Just saw your tag to me. So okay, that's funny. So you guys aren't too far from Taiwan then. You guys are like right there, but but that's in a whole nother country. There we go. Perfect. So if anyone, hopefully you guys both joined the Discord. I actually have a food section now, thanks to Alex. It was a great suggestion on his part. He's our mod, so feel free to ask him any questions if you have any as well. Great guy. He's studying IT, which is he's studying in now it's just slipping my mind now, but he's into. I'll let Alex say it for himself. But he's doing great, though. He's a great guy. If you need any help, feel free to reach out to him. He's doing cybersecurity. So I thank everybody here for joining into this wonderful stream. I will be streaming again later. I just will be preparing a couple videos, and I will be doing some Expedition 33. And you guys can let me know if you want me to stream it either through the 5090 or through the RX 9070 XT. And I do appreciate everyone who's come in and joined. And thanks Alex, thanks G40, thanks Cap, thanks X Pizza Pie, thanks G. You've been around for everybody that's been around. I really appreciate you guys. So everybody, I will catch you guys later. Hopefully I see you guys soon. If not, hopefully I see you guys next time. And if you have any questions at all, feel free to ask in Discord, any requests, any videos you want to see. And I will definitely take it into suggestion as I hear and as I try to hear everybody. Thanks again so much for watching. And everybody, take care.